Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. It is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025, year of our Lord Jesus Christ. We are here on the Amazing Grace Sports Network on a Wednesday, the Amazing Grace Sports Network or Sports Center or Sports Wednesdays, we like to call it. Thank you for being here. I ran a little late, had to run a couple of tests, but everything's fine. Let me turn this down a little bit so you're not getting killed by the music. You know it's great music, but I know you're here to hear me, right? That's what you're really here for. You're really here to indulge me in my diatribe. We won't call it that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Clay Morris, and let's get started. Let's get started right away. We have the World Series upon us. Here we do. We have the World Series upon us. We have the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, we do. And they're going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers. These guys. LA Dodgers, the premier team in Major League Baseball at this time. And we should not be ashamed to admit that. They go out there and they do whatever it takes to get the job done. It's just not money. I think they have the highest payroll in baseball. It's about their willingness to try anything in order to win. So that shows you how much they appreciate their fans. Let's get into prayer. And after we do prayer, then we can just dive right into what we're going to talk about. Okie dokie. We are in Prayers for Victory in Spiritual Warfare, a book by Tony Evans. And we are in chapter 6. We are overcoming anxiety and fear. Overcoming anxiety and fear. Because anybody who says they don't have anxiety or fear is not being honest. Yeah. We all have that anxiety and fear. Today more than ever, because we're bombarded by so many electronic devices, and we just can't get away from them. Everywhere we look, they're there. What are we going to do with them? I don't know what we can do with them. It's not much we can do. We're just going to have to turn them off. Okay, yeah, turn them off. That's what you do. Move that out the way. All right, getting on to it. Overcoming fear and anxiety. We are taking up the sword. I have a sword. Should I bring it out? No, next time I'll bring it out. We are taking up the sword of the Spirit. Oh, Lord, thank you for the sword of the Spirit. Thank you that I can slay. Thank you that I can slay every fearful and anxious thought or temptation of the enemy with this weapon. I will not be anxious about my life because you care for the birds of the air, and I am more valuable than they are. Your love for me is perfect. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. Your love casts out my fears because I can trust you. When I feel anxiety arising in my thoughts, I will cast my anxiety on Christ because he cares for me. Amen. Yes. And I bet the Toronto Blue Jays are feeling a lot of anxiety right now. I'm sure the Dodgers are too, but they're favored to win. So I think their anxiety is less at this particular time, unless they lose 2 games in a row. Then that anxiety, that whole equation is going to change quick, fast, and in a hurry. Okay, I have for you this prepared. The Toronto Blue Jays and, the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's a series between a team everyone thought would be there and a team nobody thought would be there. The Los Angeles Dodgers are the team everyone thought would be there because they are last year's champions. They won the World Series last year. And not only that, the Dodger franchise has become the best in baseball at acquiring and retaining talent over the last decade and a half. So just because they won it all last year, the Los Angeles Dodgers are not placated. They are always looking to improve and upgrade. Toronto, on the other hand, well, they finished in the last place of the division. That's right. It's the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Orioles, the Rays, and then it was the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, down there. Looking up at everyone else. Last in the division, nobody was worried about them. Uh, And then they had the fourth worst record in the American League. There were three teams that had a worse record. I mean, that's really bad. We're going to go, we'll name those teams as we go on. At the beginning of 2025, the Los Angeles Dodgers were the odds on favorite to win the National League pennant over everybody. Giants, St. Louis, the Mets, who had just picked up Soto. They were everyone's favorite to win it. The Dodgers were. Everyone was looking at them saying, okay, yeah, this team is head and shoulders above everybody else. They're probably going to repeat. And they were right. On the American side, well, the Blue Jays, well, they had the fourth worst odds. Only the Nowhere City Athletics. That's right. I call them the Nowhere City because they don't have a town they play in. They play in Sacramento. They're supposed to be in Las Vegas, Nevada, and they were in Oakland last year. So the Nowhere City Athletics, okay, the No One Cares White Sox. Reinsdorf does not care for that team. He just does not care. He don't care if they lose. Every year, as long as he makes money off them and he's able to write that off. He probably writes it off. They probably lose money. He's just using it to write it off. He doesn't care. Okay. And then you had the nowhere. The no one wants to play there. Angels. I believe that's supposed to be Los Angeles, somewhere around there. But Pasadena, they keep changing names, trying to get a fan base, and they haven't found one yet. But the Angels. So there's three teams worse than the Blue Jays. Okay? The Angels, the White Sox, and the Athletics. In no particular order. They are all really just down there. Okay? So as far as winning the pennant, as far as going somewhere this year, the Toronto Blue Jays, not even the fans thought that was possible. I mean, if you're gonna dream big, in Toronto, why not wish for something that's more attainable? Something like hitting Powerball is more attainable than the Toronto Blue Jays winning the pennant. But people do hit the Powerball, and the Toronto Blue Jays, well, they're in the World Series. Now the Dodgers. The Dodgers have star power, major star power. They have names like Betts, Mookie Betts, who we see here. Unbelievable. Mr. Freeman, Glasnow, Enrique Sanchez, Teoscar Sanchez, Clayton Kershaw, Mr. Otani, Mr. Sasaki, and this guy here, Mr. Yamamoto. I mean, from hitting to pitching, or pitching to hitting, however you want to call it, the Los Angeles Dodgers have those guys. They're the best player in baseball, in Shohei Otani, when he feels like playing. And I don't say that when he feels like playing. I mean, when everything's rolling right for him. I think he's been in the league like 8 or 9 or 10 years now, so he's not a spring chicken. But the other day, he hit 3 home runs in one game, and he struck out 10 batters. I mean, yeah, they have that guy. So that's who the Dodgers are. The Blue Jays have Vladimir Guerrero, George Springer, Max Scherzer, possibly Bo Bichette will be back. And they have a list of potentials and probables that if I named them, you wouldn't know them. Okay, so we're not going to go into it. This is classic Uber David versus Goliath, except in this case, most of the public loves Goliath. They love the Dodgers. Let's examine why. The Dodgers organization began in 1883. That's probably a good reason. They've had over 150 years of being in existence to gather fans, to gain attention. And they began as the Brooklyn Atlantics. Nobody remembers what that was all about. We don't know if they were talking about the Atlantic Ocean or they were talking about pipe tobacco, whatever. But That played out after a little while, and they became the Brooklyn Bridegrooms. Brooklyn Bridegrooms. Nobody remembers what that was all about either. But eventually they got married, so they weren't the bridegrooms anymore, I guess. But anyway, after a while, they became the Brooklyn Dodgers finally. And these Brooklyn Dodgers, they were perennial losers. I mean, they lost. I think they went to the, they might have won the pennant once from that time on until the 40s. Now, the Dodgers of the 1940s and 50s with such players such as Jackie Robinson, Duke Snyder, Don Newkirk, Pee Wee Reese, Roy Campanella, and Gil Hodges. They captured the hearts and minds of America in the 1940s and 50s. Their clashes with the New York Yankee teams of that era are epic. They had Mantle, they had Berra, Whitey Ford, um, a list of guys. Gosh, so many that you can't remember. But the Yankees won them all until the last one, 1955. And from 1945, with all those series they had with them, I think they went there almost 6 or 7 times in 10 years, and the Yankees won all of them except the last one. The Brooklyn Dodgers finally won one. Well, and that was the end of an era because in 1958, the franchise moved to Los Angeles. Now, that broke the heart of many Brooklyn fans, but they had outgrown the Ebbets Field where they played, and it was old and crumbling, and New York was not working with them to get uh, land that they could build on. As a matter of fact, they were holding them hostage. And so they did what they had to do, which was go to a place which wanted them. And LA really wanted them. They welcomed them with open arms. Many Brooklyn fans, well, they were brokenhearted, as I said, and they didn't go with them. But a lot of them did go with them mentally and spiritually. Maybe not physically because they couldn't leave New York. They couldn't leave Brooklyn. They couldn't leave New York or that area to travel out to LA and settle out there. But they went with them anyway. They went with them with their hearts and their minds. So they had a fan base already starting out in LA with the Brooklyn fans. And then they started acquiring more fans when they went out there because they had such players as Davis, Drysdale, Koufax, Roseboro, and Wills. The popularity and success continued into the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, all the way up to the present day. Los Angeles has always been on the list. They had Garvey and Say and Raul Mondesi, Guerrero. Yeah, they had some players. They've had some players all along. Now, the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays organization was founded in 1977, but in comparison to the Dodgers, they weren't perennial losers for a very long time, in between 10 to 15 years. Then they rose to prominence. They rose to prominence much faster than the Dodgers did, and they made an impact. By the 1990s, the Toronto Blue Jays were a powerhouse team. They boosted such play. They boasted such players as Alomar, Borders, Carter, Fernandez, McGriff, Morris, Olerud, Steve, and Stoudemire. The Jays won 2 World Series in the 1990s, and they established the Toronto organization in the American League. And now, Toronto is back on the world stage. Everyone wants to know, can they do it? I included. Can they do it? They've been underdogs all year. They weren't supposed to win the division. They beat out both the Red Sox and the Yankees in a hard-fought coming down the stretch fight. They did it. They won it out. They didn't give up. They didn't falter. They stayed the course, and they drove the ship home. But can they slingshot Goliath? Can David slingshot this Goliath? We will see. I do know this. I've seen Toronto never back down. Okay? They're both comfortable in their skin. Toronto is comfortable in their underdog role. The Dodgers are comfortable in their front-running designation as being leaders of the pack. The guys who have it, they're comfortable with that. They're not ashamed of that. They wear it well. Okay, but both are comfortable in their own skin. But both think they are the lead dog on the sled. Both of them. Don't let Toronto fool you. They didn't back into it by thinking they can't do it. Okay, they relish the chance to take down Goliath. This is what they what they are living for. Okay, the Yankees, the Red Sox, whoever you put in front of them, they relish it. They can't wait to get at it. So both teams are like dogs. Okay, they're both the two dogs are on the front of the sled. Each one of them is wagging their tail, waiting to get at it. They can't wait to get started. They both want it. These are the two best teams in baseball. They are. They proved it this year. Okay. And they're playing for all the marbles. So get your popcorn ready, ladies and gentlemen. If you can stay up late enough, gosh, this is going to be fun. Now, moving on to the New England Patriots. Yes, the New England Patriots. Mm-mm-mm. The New England Patriots are in first place. They're in first place in the uh, American League East or the AFL, AFC, American League Conference, not the National League. And I'm getting confused with Major League Baseball and in football, but okay. They're in first place in the division in the East. They have uh, you know rose to the top. Not that it was so hard. Because in their league, the only team that they had to worry about, which I said at the beginning, was the Buffalo Bills, who were due for a fall. Um, Miami Dolphins, they're just ludicrous. It's just a bad organization run by a bad coach, run by a horrible GM, an inept, clueless GM who doesn't know what he's doing whatsoever, and an owner who has given these guys carte blanche to do what they want, hopefully believing that they could get something done. But no, they can't get anything done. These guys are clueless. They have no idea what they're doing. They're terrible. That's Miami. And then they have the Jets. Yes, the Patriots have the Jets in the division. The Jets, who haven't been relevant since, well, Joe Namath. Oh, yeah, they made some news when they had Mark Gastineau and Klecko, and then they made some news back when they had Rex Ryan there for a hot second. He tried to mold them into a team, but something about New York. It's not getting it done. Okay. So New England, the Patriots, are number one in the East. And what I'm thinking here is that New England has a very good chance. They have a very good chance to take it all because they have something that other teams don't have. They have, how do we put this? They have two of the best coordinators in the game working on the same team. Now, Spagnuolo and Andy Reid are an example of such. Spagnuolo and Andy Reid are working together. Spagnuolo is a really good offensive coordinator, but a defensive coordinator. And Andy Reid is obviously the best. He's at the top of the game. He might be the best offensive coordinator in the game right now. He's the head coach, though, but he's the offensive coordinator. Well, you have that with the Patriots. You have Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. Okay? Josh McDaniels is no slouch. Andy Reid knows this. Josh McDaniels has beaten Andy Reid, and Andy Reid has beaten Josh McDaniels at out scheming one another when it comes offensively. Spagnuolo is pretty good. I don't know if he's a Mike Vrabel because Mike Vrabel might be one of the better defensive coordinators in the game. He's the head coach, but he's really the defensive coordinator. And now he was going to run away from that title. He had Terrell Williams in it, but Terrell Williams got sick as the defensive coordinator. So he's been out since before the first game. And Mike Vrabel has been running that defense while pretending that he hasn't. So we have two of the best coordinators in the game on the same team. One is actually, assumed the role as offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels. The other one is behaving as, well, the role isn't his, but he's actually doing it. That being said, the proof in the pudding of whether the Patriots can go forward is going to be when they run into teams like, well, the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Sirianni and Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs, Zach Taylor, Cincinnati Bengals, Kyle Shanahan, San Francisco 49ers. Then we're going to see if Mike Vrabel has raised his coaching level from that being a coordinator to a coach. Can he outmaneuver them? Can he out X and all these guys? Because that's what it's going to take when he gets to that level. You're combining, you're mixing and matching. You're using the offense to set up the defense and the defense to set up the offense. You're weaving it all in between like a chess game. We're going to see if Mike Vrabel can play that game. We already can see he's one of the better defensive coordinators out there. Whether he's going to be able to weave it all in so that he, Josh McDaniels, can mold this guy, Drake May, and get it done. And if they can, if these two can work together and Vrabel can rise to the challenge of being a good to very good head coach, Drake May will seal the deal. That is my take on the matter. I think Drake May has the goods. He has the goods, and more importantly than that, he has the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach who are riding him like a horse down the stretch of the Kentucky Derby. They're riding him like he's Secretariat. And ladies and gentlemen, he might just be that Secretariat that they're looking for. With that being said, that's really my show for today. But I'd like to close on something. I'd like to close on a reflection of things that are happening, things that are going on. I want to tell you this. Jesus Christ is real, and he's trying to reach you. I say this because in this world, the world that you're living in, you are being assaulted every day by messages to be this or to be that, to do this or to do that. We see protests being paid for by a foreign entity attempting to encourage the public to not only fight what's in their best interest, but against their country in the process. We see a political party aligned with such a message that does not believe in God, but yet they want you to make them your God. You are to follow and do what they tell you, or, well, you're not one of their people. They will disown you. You will not be good enough for them to bless you with their acknowledgement of your existence. Ladies and gentlemen of America and of the world, you are not alone. This is done and has been done to every human being in the history of the world. You can be not Asian enough. You can be not Black enough. You can be not Hindu enough, not Hispanic enough, not Jewish enough, not Muslim enough, and not white enough. Much of that not enough comes with the threat of ostracization. Yeah, you can be ostracized. That means put out there, nobody wants to talk to you, they won't deal with you anymore, you can't get a job, nobody will visit your business, okay? Yeah, that's right. You become persona non grata. But some of that, not enough, comes with the threat of death, not only of your identity, but of your life. But this is not the way it is supposed to be. Ladies and gentlemen of America, of the world, from Azerbaijan to Zulu Swahili land, okay, you are a child of God. A God who made himself man in order to walk and talk amongst you, to talk with humanity, who endured the same things you were going through, and dare I say it, yes, even more, to communicate to you your power and your purpose. Everyone who is here has chosen to be here in order to rise up and meet the situation that faces them, to rise up and rise above the flesh into the spiritual. In the moment of the crisis, to rise above envy, gluttony, greed, sloth, lust, anger / resentment, and judgment / pride. Now, all of this sounds desirable and noble, but you are surrounded by those who are not forthcoming or honest, people who will use these same themes of virtues to lead you astray. So if you want to know what God has said, God as Jesus has said, what he has really said to you, then you have to read the Bible for yourself. whether you're a Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, Jewish, or Muslim. Do not let anyone scare you or threaten you away from it. Do not listen to anyone tell you what it says. Read it for yourself. I am part of a Bible study that meets every 2 weeks. A group of people who read it for themselves, and then we expound with one another on what we have read. We don't always agree. We don't always disagree. But it has been truly one of the best things I've ever done or did for myself. It cannot hurt. It can only help. You will not be threatened or ostracized if you don't. You will not be threatened or ostracized from us. If you don't, you will not be threatened or ostracized. If you do, I will still treat you like a child of God. I will still treat you like a person with respect. The link is on my YouTube page and it's on my Facebook page. I look forward to meeting all who want to. So, if you're tired of getting beat down every day, that you have to be this, you have to be that in order to fit in to whatever group they're telling you that you have to fit into in order to be liked by those you think should like you. If you're tired of that, if you're tired of getting beat down with messages, with music, with videos, and warnings, and clarion calls for action each and every day, if you're tired of that, take hold of Jesus' hand. For he says, come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, especially comment. Say something, anything. Come out of your little tortoise shell, turtle shell, come out of your snail shell and speak. Tell me if you like some of the content. If you don't like the content, what kind of content you would like to see. It doesn't matter. Just say something. My next live podcast is on Saturday at 9 a.m. in conjunction with WEZE Radio, the Word of Boston. That's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can call in to the toll-free number of 844-249-5247 or get in on the conversation via the chat feature. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the best, all the very best that life has to offer. Take care. Have a good day. Goodbye.